Well, basketball wasn't a very big sport in Melbourne at that time.
And their willingness to share with their opposition was very important for us at the time.
We'd have clinics before the games. Our whole purpose there was to get acquainted and encourage them, and then also to teach them about the word of wisdom.
We'd sign these Book of Mormons. I remember we were going to give them out. If you'll come forward now, we'll hand those out to you. And I went to sit down and nobody moved.
Anything that was Mormon was generally rather negative. And so we start getting articles written about the Mormon Yankee basketball team, and these people were really quite nice to us in their articles.
Well, a little girl came, and Peterson, Elder Bob Peterson, picked her up and she put her arms on his neck, and then they came and talked. And they had, I remember people touching me, and tears, some of them had tears in their eyes, were emotional.
So without the proselytising, just merely their behaviour was an influence on me, personally, to say this might be worthwhile to be a non-drinker, a non-smoker and have a fairly decent appearance.
Football was the sport you heard most about, and that was a man's game.
We had all grown up in the environment of Australian rules football, where you knock them down, tread on them, shorten your steps as you walk over them.
Basketball seemed to be more of a sissy game.
When the Olympic Games was designated for Melbourne in 1956, the church made a decision that they would assemble a Mormon team.
It gave the church notoriety, but I think maybe even more important, it gave the members something to be proud of, something to focus on that the people around them would say was excellent.
It did have a great impact because the church grew. Lots of people came into the church that are still active in the church today.
Ken Watson was once again trying to promote the Olympic Games, get ready for the Olympic Games, and was able to get the support of the Mormon Yankees in setting up a series of exhibition matches against the visiting Olympic teams.
I was just bursting with pride that our missionaries, you know, were able to play with and win against Olympic teams.
One of the Mormon Yankees hit the basket and we won by 2 points. And that's when pandemonium broke out. Everyone cheered. I was so happy, wonderfully proud, because I knew these young missionaries, of course, and here they were beating the French team. That was pretty good.
A lot of non-members who didn't know anything about Mormons at least had a chance to see us on television, and we were normal.
I'm not sure that I'd call them normal people, Fred, because, and again, I'm being honest, I think there was a standard of conduct that was noticeable.
They were so clean cut and looked so good and acted so good that it had an effect on how people viewed the church.
2 weeks after each we visited a town, we would send missionaries in.
Yeah.
And so the ball team really opened up area after area.
A lot of people started listening to the missionaries in that time period. Really started to grow the church.
I fell in love with them because I was 15 and a half, nearly 16. And I was just, oh, aren't they gorgeous?
They were walking down the street with hats on and I knew who they were. And I didn't realise how big they were until I opened the front door and I looked up at these giants and said, come in, and they nearly fell over.
We'd been going to Bible study, which I hated, and I found so cold. And I remember the first sacrament meeting we went to was a fast and testimony meeting. And I felt the Spirit very strongly. But the missionaries were definitely a huge part of my desire to join the church. I knew it was true, but I also loved the missionaries.